In 1955, Monty Denley and Pat Onions started up Cottons again. It took a while to get a production bike into production, but they straight away started to build with one of the old pre-war frames, a trials bike. They were hooked. About 1957-58, a bike very similar to this was built with a 197-90 engine in. Now, as a 16-year-old, I bought a second-hand 197 for about 30 quid or something. You couldn't give them away, and played around on it for quite a while. That eventually moved on. I got busy, dropped out of the trials a bit, but I was observing on a section and a guy come along on a different Cotton, and I said to him, "Bob, where's the leading link?" "Oh, I'm going to sell that." I said, "Put your hand out, I want to buy it. I haven't told you how much yet. Be sensible, I'll buy it." So this is it. 1963, 250, 32A engine. Very original, nothing played around with, just a solid, nice little bike. I've ridden all the bikes you're looking at that are mine. I've ridden quite extensively over the years. A great little bike to ride in the right trials. You wouldn't want big rock steps and all, because it just ain't going to cut the mustard. But a really nice little bike. Right, the next bike we're going to talk about, the next bike in the line, is the bike that Peter Collins is riding, and I believe Kate's got lots of good film of him, so great stuff. That was 64 through to about 69, 68, 69. A very usable bike. I had one 3 months ago, I sold it, because I'd never had one, but I had to buy one. Didn't really need it, but there you go. So that was that one. That was the next in line. So we move on, and in 68, disaster struck. Villiers decided they were no longer going to sell their motors to small companies, withdrew from the market, and that put all the little manufacturers in dire straits. Several of them came up with the Minarelli motor. Now, most of the Minarellis are 170. This happens to be a 220, which is a much better bike than the 170. But from 68 onwards, it was a Minarelli. It first sold in kit form to avoid purchase tax. The government put a stop to that. But, you know, when I set out on a Minarelli, probably 40 years ago, everybody said, "Oh God, why are you riding that?" They were bloody awful in the day, you know, but it was the only bike I had. So I got out and rode it. And I've still got 4 Minarellis now. The claim to fame with the Cotton Minarelli was in 1968, when they're a very new model. Rob Edwards, an expert rider from up north, Skipton way I think, actually rode a 170 in the Scottish 6-day trial, and he took the 250 Cup, finishing about 10th, which was absolutely amazing on a machine that was so outclassed by the others. This is a 74-ish. They went through to about 75, and the engine contract come to an end again. So Cottons are stuffed again, but they're also stuffed because they ain't got any money, and they are struggling bad. So, you know, the Minarelli, for an average clubman, you could get round on it and you could have a bit of fun on it. And that's what it meant to blokes like me, having a bit of fun on a Sunday morning. I rode them all over the place. I rode long distance trials and all on a Minarelli. I did the Manx 2-day classic on a Minarelli, believe it or not. And like, that was something that most of them had never seen over there. So, half tidy little bike, yeah. Right, this is a 1975-76, not quite sure which, Cotton 250 DMW engined Javelin. A lot of cotton bikes they like to name after local things, and Javelin was the thing for this. They only made 25 of these. I know of at least 12 that have survived, but I don't know of any that are out being ridden. And I've been riding this for the last 10 years, I guess. Nice little bike to ride. John Close, that was a works rider, I asked John about it and he said, oh, it was bloody awful. Didn't like it, went back on the old bike. But 2 years ago we were at a trial and John said, let's have a go on the Javelin. Yeah, carry on. God, that rides well, doesn't it? So, you know, it's opinions at the time. But as I say, they only made 25. There was a rumour around from a Midland rider I knew that they had another batch of 10 engines and they never ever got round to paying them because they were just so hard up at the time, and the Continental bikes took over completely. So really, this virtually sees the end of production bikes. Trouble is, once you start playing, you don't want to stop.